The main door clicks shut behind you. The sound is final, a heavy metallic thump that echoes through the cavernous space and then is swallowed by a profound silence. You are alone now. The day staff has gone home, their laughter and hurried footsteps replaced by a stillness so complete it feels like a presence in itself. It presses in on you from all sides, a weight in the air. Your footsteps are the only sound. Click, clack, click, clack. The polished marble floor throws the sound back at you, amplified and distorted. It sounds like someone else is walking with you just a half step behind, mimicking your every move. You pause, and the echo dies away, leaving only the low electric hum of the building's life support. The silence rushes back in to fill the void. You draw a slow breath. The air is cold and sterile, scrubbed clean of the day's living scents. Underneath the chemical cleanliness, there are other smells. The dry, papery scent of ancient dust. The faint, sharp tang of ozone, like the air after a lightning strike. It is the smell of things that have been sleeping for a very, very long time. Your hand tightens on the heavy maglite. Its beam cuts a perfect, unwavering circle in the oppressive darkness, a small island of safety in an ocean of shadows. You sweep it across the grand hall. The light slides over glass cases and velvet ropes, glinting off the vacant eyes of marble statues. They seem to watch you from their pedestals, their carved faces impassive and patient. They were here long before you, and they will be here long after you are gone. The thought is not comforting. You begin your patrol. The route is simple, a looping path through the museum's arteries. Grand Hall, Egyptian Wing, Mesopotamian Gallery, a brief detour through American history, then the Victorian Collection before returning to the central security desk. You've walked it twice already with the head of security, a man whose easy smile never quite reached his eyes. The place has its quirks, he'd said, handing you the keys. But it's just a building. Just old things. Oh, yeah. Old things. The words hang in the air as you walk. The beam of your flashlight dances ahead, pulling objects out of the gloom. A suit of samurai armor stands sentinel, its empty helmet angled slightly downwards as if in contemplation. For a moment, you feel a distinct and absurd impression that it is watching you pass. You imagine the ghost of a warrior inside, his gaze following the small, lonely circle of your light. You shake your head, a small, tight motion. It's just your imagination. The silence is getting to you. You move on, your footsteps a steady, rhythmic beat against the floor. The darkness seems to pool in the corners of the room, just beyond the reach of your beam. It's a living thing, the darkness in this place. It recedes from the light, but never truly leaves. It waits. You enter the Hall of Antiquities. Here the air is even colder. A chill that has nothing to do with the thermostat seeps into your bones. It's a deep, ancient cold, the cold of the tomb. Sarcophagi line the walls, their hieroglyphs telling stories of forgotten gods and the perilous journeys of the dead. You run your light over their painted faces. Kings and queens stare back at you with serene, all-knowing expressions. You feel like an intruder here, a brief, warm-blooded thing in a world of eternal, silent stone. The feeling of being watched intensifies. It's not just one pair of eyes. It's all of them. A silent, unseen congregation, and you are the subject of their unified, unnerving attention. You force yourself to focus on the task. Check the doors. Check the display cases. Ensure the seals are intact, the alarms armed. Everything is as it should be. Polished glass, brass plaques, red velvet ropes. A place for everything, and everything in its place. Orderly, silent, awo, die, ni, noamasti, all. Still. And yet, it doesn't feel still. There is a sense of potential, a held breath, as if the entire museum is waiting for something, waiting for the last of the daylight to fade completely from the high, vaulted windows, waiting for the city outside to fall asleep, waiting for you to let your guard down. You pass from the ancient world into a more recent past. The Victorian collection. The transition is jarring. The cold, stone silence of the tombs is replaced by the cluttered velvet quiet of a bygone era. Four-poster beds draped in heavy damask. Ornate furniture that seems to groan under the weight of its own carving. Taxidermied animals frozen in dusty dioramas, their glass eyes gleaming in your flashlight beam. And the dolls. They are housed in a large central display case, a glass prison for a miniature society. There must be 100 of them. Porcelain dolls with delicate painted faces and real human hair. Rag dolls with button eyes and stitched-on smiles. Wax dolls whose features have begun to melt and sag over the decades, giving them expressions of perpetual, weary surprise. You stop in front of the case, a strange compulsion holding you there. You've never liked dolls. Even as a child, you found their unblinking stares and frozen smiles unsettling. These are worse. They are old, and they carry the weight of their years. You can almost feel the faint, lingering psychic residue of the children who once loved them, whispered secrets to them, and eventually outgrew them. Your light moves slowly from one to the next. A doll in a sailor suit, its porcelain face cracked like a fine web. A ballerina in a faded tutu, forever poised on one foot. A baby doll in a long lace christening gown, its eyes closed as if in sleep. You remember them from your earlier walkthrough. The head of security had pointed them out. One of our most popular exhibits, he'd said. People find them evocative. You find them something else entirely. Your light settles on a doll near the back. She sits in a small wooden rocking chair, her hands folded primly in the lap of her velvet dress. Her hair is a cascade of blonde ringlets, and her eyes are a startlingly bright, intelligent blue. Unlike the others, her head is not facing forward. It is turned slightly, angled towards the side of the case. Towards the door you just walked through. Towards you. Her painted lips are curved into a faint, knowing smile. Her glass eyes seem to catch the light in a way the others don't. They seem to hold a spark of awareness, of appraisal. You stare at her, your heart suddenly beating a little faster. You are certain, almost certain, that she was facing forward earlier. You remember the row of them, all lined up like a silent miniature congregation, all staring straight ahead into the darkness. You would have noticed one turn like this. It's wrong. It breaks the pattern. It must be your imagination. Of course it is. Your mind is playing tricks on you. The silence, the shadows, the oppressive weight of all this history. It's a potent combination. Anyone would start to see things. The day staff must have moved it. A cleaner, maybe. They must have bumped the case, or perhaps the vibrations of the building's systems caused it to shift. There are a dozen rational explanations. You hold your light on her for a moment longer. The blue glass eyes stare back, unblinking. The faint smile is unwavering. You pull the beam away, plunging her back into darkness. But you can still feel her gaze. A tiny, cold pinprick on the back of your neck. You turn and continue your patrol, your footsteps seeming louder now, more urgent. But as you walk away, a single insistent thought loops in your mind, a quiet counterpoint to the rhythm of your steps. She was looking right at you. You dismiss it. You have to. It is only the first hour of a very long night. And the silence, the heavy, waiting silence, seems to have deepened behind you. You leave the Victorian wing behind. The feeling of the doll's eyes on your back lingers for a dozen paces, a phantom touch, before it finally dissolves into the general oppressive awareness of the museum. You tell yourself again that it was nothing. A trick of the light, a shadow, an overactive imagination fueled by solitude and silence. You almost believe it. The route takes you back towards the ancient world. You pass through the Egyptian hall again, but your pace is quicker this time. The serene painted faces on the sarcophagi no longer look so serene. In the dancing beam of your flashlight, their expressions seem to shift and flicker. Knowing, waiting. You don't let your light linger on any single one for too long. You arrive in the Mesopotamian wing. Here, the air changes. It is drier, thicker, hot. It smells of baked clay and riverbeds that have been dust for millennia. The grand imperial scale of the Egyptian hall gives way to something more intimate and somehow more ancient. The exhibits are smaller, more personal. Cases filled with cylinder seals, carved with intricate scenes of gods and beasts. Clay tablets covered in the dense, wedge-shaped marks of cuneiform, the world's first stories frozen in mud. The hum of the building's climate control is more noticeable here. A constant low thrum that vibrates up through the soles of your shoes. It is the only sound. The museum breathing in its sleep. You find the sound comforting. It is mechanical, predictable. It is a sound from your world, a world of wires and electricity, not of dust and forgotten gods. You slow your pace. You let the reassuring hum wash over you, a steady anchor in the deep, silent ocean of the night. The unease from the doll's exhibit begins to recede. You are a security guard. You are here to do a job. You focus on that. Your task in this wing is to physically check the seals on the larger display cases. A simple, mundane task. You run your fingers over the small wax seals, checking for any signs of tampering. The glass is cool and smooth beneath your touch. Inside, artifacts sit on velvet-draped pedestals, each one pinned in a tight, unmoving circle of low light. A golden helmet, once worn by a Sumerian king. A limestone statue of a winged bull, its eyes wide and staring. A collection of bronze daggers, their edges still sharp after 4,000 years. You move from one case to the next, a slow, methodical rhythm. Your own breathing is loud in your ears. A soft, rhythmic hush, hush. A fragile, temporary sound in a room filled with things that have outlasted empire. You reach the centerpiece of the collection, a sarcophagus. It is not ornate and gilded like its Egyptian cousins. This one is made of plain, dark stone, almost black in the dim light. It is massive, severe, and undecorated, save for a single band of cuneiform carved deep into the lid. The plaque on the floor simply reads, "Unidentified Assyrian nobleman, circa 900 BC. You place your hand on the glass of the display case that surrounds it. The glass is cold, colder than the others. A deep, penetrating cold that leaches the warmth from your fingertips. You frown, pulling your hand back. It's probably just a quirk of the air conditioning, a vent positioned directly overhead. Another rational explanation. There is always a rational explanation. You lean closer, your breath misting the glass. You inspect the seals. They are intact. The heavy stone lid is undisturbed. Everything is as it should be. And then you hear it. It is a sound so faint you are not sure you heard it at all. A dry, sibilant whisper, like sand skittering across stone. It is gone as quickly as it came, lost in the steady hum of the ventilation. You stand perfectly still. You hold your breath. You listen. There is only the hum, the low, mechanical breathing of the building. It must have been the vents, air pressure changing, dust settling. You are about to turn away, to dismiss it as another phantom, when the air around the sarcophagus grows colder still. It is no longer just the glass. The air itself is changing. The temperature drops, a sudden, localized pocket of deep cold. You can see your breath now, a white plume in the beam of your flashlight. And the sound comes again. This time, it is clearer, sharper, a dry, rasping sound. It is not the building. It is not the wind. It is a voice made of dust and time. It comes from inside the stone sarcophagus. Your blood runs cold. Your hand instinctively goes to the radio clipped to your belt. Your fingers feel clumsy, numb. You unclip it, raise it to your mouth. You press the button. Click. Tunnel. The sound of the transmission button is loud, intrusive. You wait for the reassuring crackle of an open channel. There is nothing. Only a dead, flat silence. You press it again. Click. Dot. Nothing. The radio is silent. The battery is full. You checked it yourself before your shift began. There is no reason for it not to work. You are alone. Utterly and completely alone. The small electronic link to the outside world is severed. You lower the radio, your eyes fixed on the black stone coffin. The cold is intense now. It is the cold of a cellar, the cold of a grave. It wraps around you, a physical presence. The whisper comes a third time. It is not a whisper anymore. It is a word, a single guttural word, brittle with age. It is a language you have never heard, a sound that the human throat was not meant to make. The syllables are harsh, angular, like the cuneiform carved into the lid. The word hangs in the cold air for a moment, impossibly ancient, impossibly real. And then, silence. But the silence that follows is different. It is not empty. It is a listening silence, a waiting silence. The low hum of the building seems to have faded away, leaving only this profound, absolute stillness. You can feel it, a presence, an intelligence. It is in the sarcophagus, behind 4 inches of solid stone. It has been sleeping, dreaming its slow stone dreams for 3,000 years. And now it is awake. It knows you are there. You feel its attention on you, a vast and ancient consciousness, as cold and as heavy as the stone that contains it. You are no longer a watchman patrolling a silent museum. You are an audience, and the exhibit is aware of you. You do not move. You cannot. You can only stand there, your flashlight beam trembling on the black, silent stone, feeling the weight of 30 centuries of silent, patient waiting finally come to an end. Time ceases to have meaning. You do not know how long you stand before the sarcophagus, a statue carved from frozen fear. Seconds, minutes, they bleed into one another, meaningless divisions of a single, unending moment of cold dread. The ancient presence holds you in its invisible grip, a pressure on your mind, a weight on your soul. It examines you, this warm, fleeting thing that has disturbed its slumber. Then, something inside you breaks. A primal instinct for survival, a desperate need to simply move, overrides the paralysis. Your legs unlock with a painful jerking motion. You take one step back, then another. The cold clings to you, a shroud you cannot cast off. The silence is still absolute, the humming of the building completely gone, as if the museum itself is holding its breath. You do not turn your back on the sarcophagus. You retreat slowly, your flashlight beam held steady on the impassive black stone, a trembling ward against the dark. You feel the ancient intelligence watch you go, its attention a physical force on your skin. It does not try to stop you. It seems to know that there is nowhere for you to go. You back out of the Mesopotamian wing, out into the connecting hallway. The moment you cross the threshold, the familiar, low hum of the building's systems rushes back in, and the oppressive cold recedes, leaving you shivering in the suddenly normal air. You lean against the wall, your heart hammering against your ribs like a trapped bird. Your breath comes in ragged, shallow gasps. The radio on your belt feels as heavy as a block of lead, a useless weight, a symbol of your isolation. You are cut off. Whatever is happening in this place tonight, you will face it alone. You have to keep moving. To stop is to let the fear take root and grow. You push yourself off the wall, and continue your patrol. But your route is no longer a simple loop. It is a flight to Unn. You need to get away from the ancient wings of the museum, away from the tombs and the dead languages and the things that sleep in stone. You need something familiar, something from your own continent, your own history. You walk, almost at a run, your footsteps echoing loud and frantic on the marble. The beam of your flashlight jumps and skitters ahead of you, a nervous, frightened thing. You don't look at the exhibits you pass. You keep your eyes fixed on the path ahead, the small circle of light on the floor. You reach the American History Wing. You pause at the entrance, catching your breath. The air here is different. The scent of ancient dust and ozone is replaced by the faint, pleasant smell of old wood and beeswax. It is a warmer space, paneled in dark oak. The exhibits are less alien. A collection of flintlock rifles mounted on a wall. A display of letters from the Civil War, the ink faded on the brittle paper. A mannequin in the homespun dress of a colonial woman churning butter. It feels safer. These are the ghosts of your own world. They feel tamer, more comprehensible than the vast unknowable consciousness in the Assyrian coffin. You take a deep, steadying breath. Your heartbeat begins to slow. It was just a hallucination, a waking nightmare brought on by the oppressive atmosphere of the tomb wing. Here, in this familiar place, you can regain your composure. You resume your patrol, your steps slower now, more deliberate. You are a security guard. You are in control. You shine your light into the corners, checking the shadows. They are just shadows, nothing more. Then you hear it. A soft, rhythmic creaking. Creak, groan. It's a quiet sound, almost lost beneath the hum of the air handlers. You stop, tilting your head. It could be the building settling. Old buildings make noises. Pipes contract. Wood expands. There is always a rational explanation. You stand and listen. The sound continues. It is not the random groan of a settling beam. It has a cadence, a steady, repeating rhythm. Creak, groan. Creak, groan. It is the sound of a rocking chair. A cold knot tightens in your stomach. You begin to walk again, your soft-soled shoes making no sound on the wooden floor. You follow the noise, your flashlight beam sweeping ahead of you. It leads you away from the main hall, towards a roped-off alcove designed to look like a New England parlor from the 1700s. A small fireplace with a cold, empty hearth. A braided rug, its colors faded by time. A small table with a pewter candle holder. And in the center of the room, its back to you, is a simple, high-backed, wooden rocking chair. The sound is coming from the chair. You watch, hidden in the shadows of the hallway, as it moves. It rocks back and forth, a slow, gentle, deliberate motion. It is not a violent or frantic movement. It is calm, soothing, the motion of someone quietly passing the time, lost in thought. But there is no one there. The chair is empty. It moves on its own, the old wood complaining softly with each pass. Creak, groan. The rhythm is as steady as a heartbeat. As a pendulum, it is a measured, living motion in the dead silence of the museum. You feel a new kind of fear. This is not the vast, alien terror of the sarcophagus. This is something quieter, more intimate. This feels human. The presence of a ghost, a lingering spirit, is almost more terrifying in its familiarity. You raise your flashlight. Your hand is shaking, and the beam trembles. You take a step forward, out of the shadows, and into the open. You are the intruder here. You have stumbled upon a private, quiet moment. You shine the beam of light directly onto the chair. The light floods the small, recreated room, washing out the shadows, pinning the chair in its stark white glare. For a moment, nothing changes. The chair continues its steady, rhythmic rocking, seemingly oblivious to your light, to your presence. Creak, groan. Then, the rhythm begins to change. It slows. The arc of its rock becomes shorter. The sound of the creaking wood lengthens, a low, drawn-out moan. Creak. It moves back, slower this time. Gruen. It is coming to a stop. It is not an abrupt halt. It is a slow, deliberate cessation of movement. As if the unseen occupant has felt your gaze, has seen your light, and has calmly, quietly decided to be still. The chair makes one final, slow rock forward, and then settles. It stops. The sound is gone. The silence that rushes in to take its place is heavier than before. It is a silence that is filled with an unseen, unanswered question. You stand there, your light still fixed on the chair, which now sits perfectly, unnaturally still. It is just a piece of furniture again, an inanimate object, a part of an exhibit. But you know what you saw. You are not alone in this wing. You are not alone in this museum. The doll was not your imagination. The whisper was not the wind. The things in this place are not sleeping. They are just quiet. And they are watching you, waiting. You stand in the hallway, your light a fixed white circle on the still and silent rocking chair. The question of your sanity is no longer on the table. You have moved past denial, past the desperate search for rational explanations. The museum is not just a building full of old things. It is a vessel, and its contents are aware. The fear is a cold, solid thing in your chest now, but beneath it, a strange and unwelcome clarity is beginning to form. You are no longer an observer of strange phenomena. You are a participant. The doll turning its head, the whisper from the stone, the gentle rocking of the empty chair. They were not random events. They were introductions. You lower the flashlight. The chair disappears back into the comfortable domestic shadows of its exhibit. It is easier not to look at it. You turn away, your back to the quiet parlor, and the feeling of being watched returns with a suffocating intensity. The unseen occupant of the chair is still there, still sitting, still watching you leave. There is only one place that feels remotely safe: the security desk in the Grand Hall. It is the heart of the museum's electronic systems, a small island of blinking lights and modern technology in this vast sea of the past. It is your home base. You need to get back there. The journey is different this time. You are not fleeing in a panic. Your steps are slow, deliberate, measured. You have accepted the new rules of this place. You are prey, and you must move as such. Quietly, carefully. Every shadow is a hiding place. Every echo is a footstep that is not your own. You sweep your light from side to side in a slow, steady arc, painting the darkness, revealing it piece by piece. You do not allow yourself to be surprised. You look at the exhibits as you pass them now. Truly look at them. The suit of samurai armor seems to bristle with a silent, contained energy. The marble statues seem to track your movement, their blank eyes following you down the long halls. You are a trespasser in their kingdom. The kingdom of the night. You finally emerge into the Grand Hall. The space is immense. A vaulted cavern of shadow and silence. High above, moonlight streams weakly through the arched windows, dusting the marble floors in a pale, ghostly silver. In the center of the hall, a colossal grandfather clock stands like a dark, narrow tombstone. Its polished brass pendulum hangs motionless. The clock is part of the collection, its mechanism silenced for decades. You are halfway across the hall, the security desk a distant, welcoming glow, when a sound breaks the silence. A low, metallic clunk. It comes from the grandfather clock. It is the sound of an ancient, sleeping mechanism being stirred awake. You freeze, your light fixed on the clock's face. The long, delicate hands still point to 7:15, where they have been stopped for half a century. Then comes another sound, a slow, grinding groan, a whirring of gears thick with the dust of forgotten time. And the clock begins to chime. Bong. The sound is not the gentle, melodic chime of a household clock. It is a deep, resonant toll, a funeral bell. It strikes the air like a physical blow, vibrating through the marble floor, up through your bones. It is a sound of immense finality. Bong. The second chime follows the first, each note hanging in the air for an eternity before the next one strikes. You count them. 3, 4, 5, 5. The sound is impossibly loud, filling the cavernous hall, pressing in on you. It is the sound of an announcement, a proclamation. Gong. 10, 11. The final chime approaches. The air grows thick, heavy with anticipation. The entire museum seems to be listening. On. Ga. 12. Midnight. The last, deep note hangs in the air, its vibration fading with agonizing slowness until it is finally swallowed by the silence. And in the new silence, the absolute stillness that follows the tolling of the bell, another sound is born. It is quiet, almost too quiet to hear. A child's giggle. Hey, hey, hey. The sound is light, airy, and utterly out of place. It comes from your left, from the deep shadows beneath the grand staircase. Your head snaps in that direction, your flashlight beam cutting a frantic path through the darkness. It reveals nothing but marble steps and velvet rope. The giggle comes again, but this time it is from your right, near the entrance to the Hall of Antiquities. Hee. You spin around, your light chasing the sound. Again, nothing. Just an empty archway and the deep, waiting darkness beyond. It is everywhere and nowhere at once. It is a sound that moves. It is playing with you. A game of hide and seek in the cavernous dark. You stand in the center of the hall, turning in a slow circle. A lighthouse keeper in a sea of encroaching madness. The giggling continues, a phantom melody that dances just at the edge of your hearing. It flits from one shadow to the next, always just outside the beam of your light. It is a cruel, playful sound. The sound of something that knows you are afraid. The sound of something that is enjoying it. The giggling begins to lead you. It moves from the staircase to the archway, and then seems to come from the direction of the Victorian wing. It is no longer just a random, taunting noise. It is an invitation, a lure. You follow. You don't know why. You simply feel compelled to. As you walk towards the Victorian wing, the giggling fades, replaced by a new sound. A faint, tinkling melody. It is thin and delicate, a string of silver notes in the oppressive silence. It is a music box. The sound grows stronger as you enter the wing. It is a simple tune, a lullaby you almost recognize. It is coming from deeper within the collection. You move past the taxidermied animals and the heavy draped furniture. The melody is clear now, each note perfectly formed, impossibly crisp in the dead air. You find its source. In a sealed glass case, amongst a collection of silver hairbrushes and mother-of-pearl opera glasses, sits a small, ornate music box. Its silver surface gleams in your flashlight beam. Its lid is closed. Its winding key is still. And yet, it plays. The delicate, haunting lullaby fills the room. It is a clean sound, a sound of innocence, of childhood, of a world that no longer exists. And here, in the suffocating darkness of the museum, it is the most terrifying sound you have ever heard. You stare at it, mesmerized by the impossible music. The entity is not just making noises anymore. It is orchestrating them. The clock, the giggle, the music box. It is a performance, a carefully constructed trap. The music is not the point. The music is a distraction. A cold dread, sharper and more specific than any you have felt before, washes over you. The dolls, the child's giggle, the lullaby. This is their world. You turn, a terrible magnetic pull, drawing you back to the exhibit you fled not 2 hours ago. The music box continues to play its gentle, relentless tune behind you. It is the soundtrack to your slow, final walk. You arrive at the entrance to the alcove that houses the doll collection. You stop. You can hear the faint, tinkling music from down the hall. You can feel the weight of 100 pairs of unseen eyes. You raise the flashlight. Your hand is steady now. There is no more room for trembling. There is only a cold, stark certainty. The beam of light hits the large glass case. And you see them. They have all turned. Every single one. The sailor boy with the cracked face. The ballerina in her faded tutu. The wax dolls with their sagging faces. The baby in its christening gown. All of them. 100 dolls in 100 different outfits from 100 different eras. Their heads are no longer facing forward. They are not looking at each other. Every single head is turned towards the doorway. Every pair of glass, button, and painted eyes is fixed on the exact spot where you are standing. Their faint painted smiles seem wider now, knowing, welcoming. They are not a collection anymore. They are a congregation, an audience, a reception committee. The witching hour has struck, and they were waiting for you to arrive. The music stops. It does not fade out. It does not wind down. It cuts off mid-note, a silver thread of sound snipped in an instant. The abrupt end of the melody is more jarring than any sound. And in its place, nothing. The silence that descends is unlike any that has come before. It is not an absence of noise. It is a presence, a physical force that presses in on your eardrums, a crushing weight that absorbs all potential for sound. The low hum of the building is gone. Your own breathing seems to make no noise. The frantic beating of your heart is a silent, frantic drum against your ribs. It is the silence of the void, absolute and profound. You stand before the silent, watching dolls. Their glass eyes hold no answers. Their painted smiles are fixed in a universal secret knowledge. They have played their part. They have delivered you to this moment. You are no longer in control. Your body is not your own. A force, gentle but irresistible, begins to pull at you. It is not a thought. It is not a decision. It is a compulsion, a magnetic tide that turns you away from the dolls and draws you back out into the darkened halls. You do not resist. You cannot. Your feet move with a slow, dreamlike certainty, carrying you away from the Victorian wing back towards the heart of the museum. The pull leads you down a corridor you have not yet explored. The air grows colder with every step, a deep, subterranean chill that seems to rise from the marble floor itself. A new smell taints the sterile air. It is the rich, loamy scent of freshly turned earth, the smell of an open grave. You arrive at an archway. A simple brass plaque reads, "The Hall of Mirrors." The compulsion draws you inside. The hall is a long, narrow gallery. The walls are lined with mirrors of every shape and size, from every era. Ornate, gilt-framed mirrors from Venetian palaces. Small, convex mirrors that distort the world into a warped, fisheye bubble. Simple, polished steel mirrors from military campaigns. Each one reflects the darkness, creating an infinite, repeating corridor of shadow. Your own form is multiplied 100 times, a lone, dark shape, moving through a silent, endless maze of night. But the pull does not lead you to any of these. It draws you to the very end of the hall, to the final, largest piece in the collection. It is a mirror made not of silvered glass, but of a single, perfectly polished slab of black obsidian. It is a scrying mirror, a tool for divination, a gateway. It does not reflect the light from your flashlight. It drinks it. The beam hits the surface and is simply gone. The mirror is a solid rectangle of pure, unblemished darkness. A pool of liquid night. A window into nothing. The compulsion releases you. You stand before the black mirror, your feet rooted to the spot. The air is now profoundly cold. The chill of the deepest cellar and the smell of grave dirt is thick, almost cloying. You look into the mirror's surface. At first, you see nothing but a void. But as your eyes adjust, a faint, ghostly image begins to resolve itself from the depths. It is your own reflection. A pale, washed-out version of you, standing in a dim, gray version of the hall. You stare at your own face. Your eyes are wide with a terror you can feel but cannot express. Your mouth is a thin, tight line. You are a prisoner behind the dark glass. And then, something changes. Behind your reflection, in the gray, silent world of the mirror, a shadow detaches itself from the deeper darkness. It is tall, impossibly tall and thin, a sliver of night given form. It has no features, no face, no eyes. It is a shape, a silhouette of pure dread. It stands directly behind your reflection. A wave of pure, undiluted terror washes through you, so cold it feels like ice water in your veins. Your training, your instincts, your own, will screams at you to act. You spin around. There is nothing there. The hall behind you is empty. There is only the long, silent corridor.